In a previous video, I asked the question of why doesn't Cenk Uygur of the Young Turks kind of let Trump run his course? Like they're so opposed to allowing Trump to win or make any ground, and I can understand that for a lot of reasons. But here's my point: the media hates the progressives, the anti-establishment to an extent. They hate the anti-establishment left, and they hate Trump and his supporters. It's the anti-war left that gets banned. It's the Trump supporters who get banned. So it happens to conservatives more often than the left. But the way I see it is like, listen, man, I'm not somebody who would enthusiastically vote for Trump. I'm not somebody who would, at this point, not going to vote for the guy. Didn't vote for him last time, but I recognize he's not that bad, okay? And I always want to make sure it's clear. It's like, come on, dude, chill. And I'm curious about the Young Turks because it's like, listen, when Trump targets the press and he says they're lying, they often are. So I look at Trump as the bull rampaging through the ivory tower, and I'm like, so be it. Let the corruption go to war with the bull, and then we'll vote. And then when the bull leaves, we'll vote for somebody else. Here's what ends up happening. Cenk Uygur is getting smeared, and it is complete BS. Okay? I've known him for a while. It's not like I'm an acquaintance. I would say we're not friends or anything. I'm an acquaintance. Been on the show a couple times. Saw him at VidCon and stuff. Talked to him. Last time I saw him, dude yelled at me. Whatever, man. You don't got to agree with him politically. And I think Cenk is wrong on a lot of things. But what the media is doing to him now, like the New York Times, this example right here, it's exactly what Trump complains about. You challenge the machine, they come for you. Look, the Democratic establishment and the media walk in lockstep. Vice News just hired a former White House appointee under Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton staffer. Lockstep. They pretend to be in alliance with you progressives because you also don't like Trump, and they weaponize that against him. Check this out. Kyle Kulinski. Kyle Kulinski is a good dude. I respect this guy. He said, this is stunning. New York Times' Jenny Medina claimed Cenk Uygur said David Duke is of course not a bigot. This is the interview she was citing. They should immediately retract and apologize. I'm not going to play the clip, but it's very clearly Cenk Uygur tearing apart David Duke's arguments and saying, no, you're wrong, and pushing back. And I respect his position. And look what they put. Secular Talk. Kyle Kulinski says, this is how the New York Times and Jenny Medina described Cenk Uygur pummeling David Duke. Shameful. Time for an immediate retraction. It says, Mr. Duke ends an interview by saying, I am not what you call a racist, to which Mr. Uygur replies, no, of course not. Sure, I love this game the media plays. It's called Technically the Truth. Oh, Cenk Uygur said that, but did he say, no, of course not? Sarcastically pushing back. This is why I'm very careful with how I record videos, how I avoid reading quotes. Because you will read a quote from someone and they will publish that as though you said it, because technically, literally, you did say those words. Let me tell you a crazy story. There was an article, and I think it was the Boston Globe, that referred to a Trump supporter as a white nationalist. Well, I messaged the person and said, this individual has come out against white nationalism. And you know what the response was? Well, he's a nationalist, right? Yes. He's white, right? Yes. So he's a white and he's a nationalist. And I'm like, dude, whoa. There is a stark difference between someone who is a nationalist who happens to be white and someone who is a white nationalist. You get the point? They're two different things. They didn't care. They didn't want to retract. They wanted to mislead people into believing negative things about a Trump supporter. And I was like, dude, listen, you don't got to like Cenk Uygur. You don't got to like the Trump supporter guy. But come on, man. Can we get some honesty in the press? So for all of the things the Young Turks have done that I disagree with, I'm going to set those things aside right now. I'll mention they ran this hit piece on Rubin, and my name was in it. It was fake news. And I criticized them for it. But for right now, the important thing is the media is full of crap. And Cenk Uygur, for all of his faults, you don't need to be smearing. Let me show you something. The OC Register says Cenk Uygur is an opposition researcher's dream. How do they say it? I don't want to read through this whole thing, but here we go. Has a history that seems like an opposition researcher's dream, from blog posts in 2000, declaring that the genes of women are flawed, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, I get it, man. The dude said a lot of offensive things, but I tell you this, if Cenk comes out and says, look, I shouldn't have said those things, bravo, brother. Much respect. And he has. And he's clearly pushing back against the racists. To try and claim that in any way Cenk of the Young Turks would praise or defend David Duke is such a disingenuous lie. And I'll tell you one thing, the most important thing. Do you know what my biggest gripe is? Why the content I make is in the direction I make? It's not because they say, oh, Tim's conservative. No. It's because I worked for these companies. It's because I worked for Vice, because I worked for ABC News, Univision. I've seen how these companies operate. And I do not trust most of these journalists. They're really good people I know who work at these companies. When these journalists publish these stories, they're not writing their best. They're sending liars and activists and journalists. And some of these people I think are good people, if you get the joke. The point is, there are a lot of people working in these media companies who are evil. I dare say evil. Someone who's willing to smear Cenk Uygur in this way. Listen, man, I've criticized the guy a lot for legitimate things, for things that he can say, yes, that's true. And I see, when I say, hey, you did this and he got mad and he snapped at me, okay. Those things happened and I'll criticize them over it. And that's the way it should be. The media is trash. So Crystal Ball, who is also awesome, a rad person from The Hill, tweeted, if the New York Times can lie about Cenk Uygur, who gets 30 million, 40 million views per month, they can lie about you. They'll twist your words, pretend not to hear your sarcasm, and make you sound like you're saying the exact opposite of what you're saying. This is outrageous, and they should immediately retract and apologize. And I completely agree. You got a problem with Cenk running for Congress? You speak up and you target him on his positions. You challenge his ideas, and even if you want to criticize Cenk for being, playing similar games in the media, I don't care about any of that. Right now, I am not here to say, oh, but Cenk did this, but Cenk did that. No. The media is full of liars and deceivers and cheaters, and they're biased, and it's not all of the journalists, okay? It's not all of them. Crystal Ball is at The Hill. She has an excellent show. She's very clearly, I don't want to ascribe political beliefs to people. I hate doing this, but she comes off as kind of a progressive, has praised Bernie Sanders. I got tremendous respect for that. They did, it's Crystal and Cigar, who I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. I always, get it wrong. They have a show called Rising. And they had a guy on who smeared Tulsi Gabbard as like a Russian, and they both immediately like, no, you can't do that. And I'm like, thank you. That's why their show is great on The Hill. You should check it out if you haven't. Because you can actually hear a progressive and a conservative, and they'll talk about the news, they'll talk about their ideas, and they're being honest. It's so amazing to watch. Because I turn on, look, I'm not a big fan of Hannity. I think he gets too bombastic. And I understand, I'm not perfect either, but Hannity, there was a segment I watched from CNN, and I also can't stand CNN, but at least a decent point was made, where Hannity puts so much emphasis into certain stories, it makes them sound much, much bigger than they really are. And that can make people that's the game, right? I'm not saying he's doing it to manipulate people. I'm saying he's a showman. He's an opinion guy. And so when he gets shocked by something, it translates well into shock and outrage to the audience, who then might see one smaller story as something bigger than it really is. I'm always careful to try and hold things back and say, well, hold on. Here's what's happening. So the example I cite is Ukraine Gate, where Hannity is much more bold and brazen, like a massive, major scandal. And it's really shocking and bombastic. Yeah, I can criticize that, okay? Granted, I think there's a big difference between being shocking and bombastic and lying or omitting information, which is, CNN. But anyway, the point is, that's just me. I recognize people want to watch Brian Stelter, go for it. You want to watch Hannity, go for it. I try to do my thing because I'm a very freedom-oriented person. I'm not going to tell you, what you should or shouldn't watch or what you shouldn't believe. I'll tell you what I think. I'll do my best to try and keep it, tempered and chill. If I see a big story, I'll say, let's hold on and wait. And the reason I do that is because instead of screeching into the wind and lying about people I don't like say Cenk Uygur, for instance, no, I'll just do my thing and I will stand up to counter that and I'll stick to myself. You know what's really fascinating? What I found? I feel like one of the reasons I'm often ignored in a lot of hits is that I don't get into these wars with these people. I'm not gonna sit there screaming at Cenk. I'm just gonna make a video saying what I think, and I'm gonna leave them to their own devices. Tucker Carlson said something similar. I respect this. He says he thinks Rachel Maddow's really wrong, but it's an opinion show and she's allowed to have her opinion, and that I agree with. But I tell you what, man, it's not just this story where they're trying to twist his sarcasm into a literal statement. There's been several things that have come up about Cenk Uygur that are like taking out of context comments, digging into his past, and I can't stand it. I hate it. I deleted all of my past tweets. I just absolutely detest it. People make mistakes. People's opinions change. I don't care what Cenk said in 2006. And I know there are even Trump supporters who bring it up. I don't care. Literally don't. Now I understand. When it comes to civics, it's different from celebrities in sports. If Cenk Uygur says he believes in a certain policy like animal love or whatever, which was something that came up recently, listen, I know he said it, but the way I see it, for one, out of context, I'm not going to pay attention to your video. But more importantly, if someone's being silly, if someone's purposefully trying to be like a shock jock, am I going to pretend that their positions are reflected by this? Whether it's Donald Trump, whether it's Hillary Clinton, whether it's Cenk Uygur, whether it's George Papadopoulos, I will ask you right now, what will you do? Why should I trust you? Tell me, and that's where we'll go from there. Because when I was 18, like, I don't even know what I was wearing, like skin-tight black pants and screeching about anarchy or something stupid, and like skateboarding and like whatever. I don't know what I was doing. Probably drinking too much beer. Could you imagine if someone pulled up your 18-year-old self's stupid statements and they were like, look at what they were saying? It's just insane. So I'll say this, man. As far as it goes with like my past comments and videos, yeah, my opinions change too. You can probably dig up one of my old videos and be like, wow, I can't believe Tim believes it. Did you know I praised AOC when she won the primary? Oh yeah. I was like, wow, this is really great. I'm super excited to see the establishment Democrats getting knocked down a peg or two. And then if you go a year forward, it's like AOC is stupid. And I'm like, mad at her. Yes, because opinions change. So I'll tell you what, man. What really bothers me about this is that I am very critical of Cenk Uygur for a lot of reasons, but for legitimate reasons. Reasons that he can actually agree with, like, oh, okay, I see why you're mad about that. I did say that. And then we can move on from there. And we can determine whether or not he should get the support of the people of California. But not the way the New York Times does it. So, you know what, man? In the end, I can't stand the media. You know what? Because they're supposed to be the people telling us the truth. They're supposed to be the people letting us know what's going on. They're not. They're activists. They're establishment players who want to make sure Cenk can't get into office. Many of you might like that. No, I don't. If Cenk speaks in a way, if he promises things the people of California want, so be it. That is the way it should be. That's called integrity. It's called honor. It's called, truth. The media doesn't play this game. Or I should say many in the media don't play this game. And again, you might point to Cenk and say a lot of times he does something similar. Fine. The point is, I'm not going to dig in his past. I'm not going to try and smear him and say, oh yeah, well, what about you, pot calling kettle black? No. The point is, let him speak in his own words. I want to see what he has to say right now about what his plans are for his, congressional run. I don't care about his stupid comments about animals from 2010 or whatever, or his comments about Israel from 2006. I don't care. I want to know what his thoughts are today. The media doesn't want to play that game. So I tell you this, if there's one thing that should be bringing the left and the right together right now, it's the media lying to all of us. That's it. I got one more segment coming up in a few minutes. Stick around. I will see you all there.